1, 2, 7.
Nah.
Welcome back to the Team Rocket podcast. My name is Jesse.
And I'm James.
And we're blasting off.
Once again.
Holy shit, I'm just like half asleep right now. Apologies. We were up till like 3 a.m. yesterday. We were, what's it called? What did we do? We watched a movie, shot the shit with our boy Queen Mike. Shouts to Queen Mike.
Shout out to Queen Mike.
And then we slept very late. So I woke up right when we were supposed to record. My clown ass slept through all of my alarms, but that's okay. I got 8 hours of sleep, so solid, yo. I never get that, yo. So that's actually kind of impressive.
Yeah, and you hate sleep, so that's crazy, yo.
Oh man. Well, anyway, we got a little special something for the viewers today. One of our listeners actually sent in a question?
Yeah, feedback and like a question.
Yeah. All right, James, hit it.
All right, so the main question is, if I'm not Filipino enough or Canadian enough, then what am I and where do I belong? The feedback follows as not knowing where you truly belong in a culture is a big one for me, at least. I don't know if you guys can relate, but let me know what you think. One way I connect with the Filipino culture is through food, but I still feel like I don't truly belong. I don't speak or understand any of the languages, and to some people, I don't look Filipino too because I have fair skin. And if I were in the Philippines, I'd feel so Canadian. Like I don't know what makes me Filipino besides being born to Filipino parents. Like what makes me Filipino is always in the back of my mind, even while growing up. But in Canada, I'm very much seen as Asian, even though I'm whitewashed and assimilated more into the life here. These thoughts are also a compilation of experiences too, like how I've been treated by Filipinos in work as in customer service, or being left out in friend groups because I don't understand the different dialects. I guess the main question is, as followed before, is if I'm not Filipino enough or Canadian enough, then what am I and where do I belong?
It's an interesting one.
Identity, purpose.
Identity.
Kind of touched about it on like the last podcast, the last episode, but like this is like kind of like a different shift towards like
a different stance almost.
Yeah. Because we were talking about like what are things that we do or whatever that like we identify as part of ourselves, but then this one is like more of like a cultural or like racial tie to what your identity is. Not so much like what you do, but then like your upbringing and literally like how you look, right? Because like for me, I can definitely relate to that because I was born here. I wasn't born in the Philippines. I'm
brown.
My fair skin, not really. Like more brown.
Wow, that's I'm a gradient. I feel, is that the DoorDash notification?
Yeah. It's
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not there yet. We ordered some coffee.
Yeah.
Because I'm asleep. But Shit, what were we talking? Oh yeah, they did anything. Sorry, you were saying?
I guess for me, like, uh, I grew up speaking more English,
Yeah.
a lot more English dominantly, but then I'd have like my relatives, like my grandma, my Lola, or like my other relatives or my parents, speak to me in mostly like Tagalog or Ilocano, like two different Filipino dialects, and then I would answer back in English. So like I can't necessarily speak it, but then I can understand it to like a functioning degree.
Yeah.
So I guess in that sense, like I can't relate to like not knowing it, but then I do definitely feel like a disconnect between people who like were born here and know and speak it, and people who have immigrated here and can speak it and understand it, right? I don't know about you. Are you the same as me, or do you not understand at all? Or
I'm same as you. Like I'm able to understand, able to function. I know what things are. But there's
shit.
back shit, we shit, motherfucker.
Ay, tarantado ka.
No. Oh my god. What's it called? But yeah, no, I feel the functional, but definitely a disconnect. Like, one specific example, like speaking with my grandparents on my dad's side, that they're here, but there's definitely like a loss of like understanding between us two, or between me and them. So yeah, definitely a disconnect from like in that sense to that part of my culture. Fuck, this is hard. It's weird because I feel like I feel like this never really weighed heavy on me, just because I was like, I think there's at some point I became content with how connected I was to like the Filipino part of me, like because I'm literally, I came from two Filipino people, like like in a literal sense I'm Filipino, but in a more like cultural sense I'm not as Filipino as I look.
Right.
So it's just like, I think there's one point in time where I became content with like how culturally Filipino I was, because that made no sense how I said that, but like with how in touch I was with my home culture, because I don't know what I'm saying. I like started like looking in the mirror and then I looked at the roller, but anyway. Sorry guys, I got focused. I haven't been tested for ADHD yet. I should do that. But okay, I know what I'm gonna say. So at some point I became content with how connected I was to the Filipino culture because of just the situation I was brought up in. Like, I was born here. I never really got to like the most Filipino influences I'd have would be like family, relatives, stuff like that. But again, they were also assimilating into like Canadian culture. So then it was never like the full experience or immersion of Filipino culture. So there was always gonna be a disconnect. So I guess I never really associated myself with just one or the other. It was just like, it was always just a sense of like, oh, I'm just like a collective of like what I've been taking in, like us, like especially in Canada, we're such a diverse country. Specifically, I'm like Filipino Canadian. Like obviously I have a lot of parts from the Canadian culture, parts from like Filipino culture just because of my upbringing, and then just like whatever other cultures I meet along the way. Like even more recently, I've been I've been immersed into a lot more Indian culture because I have a lot more Indian friends now. I've been to more Indian events and stuff like that. So it's been cool to like kind of take that in, and kind of like learn new things and then see how that kind of builds into my cultural identity per se. Like I feel like it's like being Canadian, being Filipino, I feel like that's, and to me at least, is kind of like the groundworks of where my cultural identity goes from there. Like in I feel like just being in Canada, most cases you're gonna be a fusion of a lot of different um a lot of different cultures, which is okay. And then you can, I think it's just how I became content was just being like understanding my situation, being okay with it, and like it's just like, like that's the situation. This is why I have this, like knowing why I have the disconnects where they are, and like understanding that, and knowing that like that's kind of like where I chose to be, because I feel like if I wanted to learn Tagalog, I would have learned it. If I wanted to really know Filipino history, I'd learn it. If I wanted to know the Filipino anthem by heart, I'd learn it. Fuck, I don't even know the Canadian anthem off the top of my head right now. I couldn't tell you. Nor do I want to. We sang that shit every day for like the first for 10 years at school. Actually, no, for like probably 7, and then they started playing it over the PA for us. But anyways, I think that's kind of my take on like my cultural identity, or like at least how I go about it. Because I feel like there's lots of different ways to. That's just the way that makes the most sense to me, and how and like I don't know, how it makes the most sense to me, and how I can't talk right now. But yeah. Yeah, that's just how it makes the most sense to me. That's the 3rd time I said that. I can count though. I can't talk, but I can count.
Does it make the most sense? Does that make the most sense to you guys? Are you tracking?
I'm not. Is there coffee here?
Yes.
That's the Curio.
And Rick?
Rick?
You want to grab it?
I'll go grab it.
All right.
Yeah.
Pause. I don't know.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Tim Hortons
and DoorDash.
Get your Dash Pass for $10 a month and get free delivery and pay less taxes, or whatever the thing is.
That's the one.
Yeah. DoorDash. Sorry, I botched that script. But if you actually sponsor us and give us the scripts, then we will do a promotion for you happily, and we will always order food whenever we do the podcast. If you sponsor us. Pay for the food too. We're hungry boys, yo. Hungry boys. Should do a Hungry Boys podcast.
Soon to be.
Hungry Boys. Bastardized. Did we tell them about Bastardized yet? I think we did a long time ago though.
I think so.
Yeah. Sunday Jamez. Okay. A little rumble there. Nice mustachio.
Cultural identity.
Cultural identities. I think I kind of like stated kind of where I'm at. What about you? How do you feel, or what's your kind of stand or your take on cultural identity?
I can definitely, like, I mean, I can't relate to that same exact degree of not being able to speak or understand, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel that disconnect with what they were saying with relatives or family, or I mean, with relatives or friends, where like when those groups switch over from English to a dialect,
Yeah.
and not being able to be in on the conversation, it almost feels like you're being excluded.
Yeah.
Because like not everybody is not everybody who speaks a different language, when English is your second language, it's like you feel more comfortable speaking in that, so like sometimes
Absolutely.
you default to that. But then I also feel like there's like a flip side to that, where like if you're engaged in a conversation with somebody and you have like a common language, and then for you to like knowingly cut out someone out of a conversation, it definitely sucks ass
Yeah.
to feel excluded in that sense, and almost feel like, oh, I guess that's especially if you can't understand as well, it's like, oh, that's the end of of me being in that conversation. Then it's like, why would you expect someone to be able to follow through along that conversation if you know that they can't contribute, right?
Yeah.
It's like I almost feel like it can kind, like that aspect of bilingual conversations can get kind of toxic, because it's like, if you don't want to if you want to pivot in a conversation, or like be done, or like end a conversation,
Yeah.
then you can just like do that like naturally, and then like start a new conversation with someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like just defaulting to a language where you know that it'll make someone feel less than or excluded, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's not that like everybody has like some malicious intent in doing so, but I know, like, I can kind of get the vibes from, like, because I understand to a significant degree
Yeah.
that people do knowingly do that.
That's true. That I know. Yeah. I've seen it been used in that way, especially because Filipinos are toxic.
Yeah.
You can't at me for that because I'm fucking Filipino. I'm toxic too. So it's hard. It's a really slippery slope too, because it's just like, I've also seen it on the flip side too, because I've seen like on both ends where the conversation, like you said, defaults to like your native tongue.
Yeah.
But it's but in a but for it switches to that in a sense because it is like a form of expression too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen, not just in not in our language, but in like other languages too, where it's just like, where the conversation was just like, that person's trying to express like a certain way, but then they have to default to their native tongue, to like, because that's like, in understanding the second language they can't pinpoint it, but their native tongue they know the exact word for whatever they're feeling or trying to express,
Right.
which is like tough. So like, that's the other side of like that situation too, where it's just like a form of expression, but I definitely understand the malicious intent thing.
It also sucks when especially like for me, like understanding but not speaking, a lot of people like will either ask me, or if they know they hear me only speaking in English, then like it's interesting hearing people like pivot and then like kind of talk shit. And like, it sucks. I only bring that up because like, obviously there's like a huge sample size from my experiences, where people will pivot and then like talk shit and like, or like gossip or whatever, right? I'm like, oh, I still understand. So like, that's kind of interesting. But like, I only bring up that point of like, not like the possibility or the reality that a lot of the times when people pivot into a different language, it's like to have like a sense of like privacy within the people that you're talking about, so that you may not be able to say out loud, right? But you can say out loud to people because like
kind of like it like
understands.
filters almost,
Yeah.
right? So then only a select few that you'd expect to understand will understand, to like leave out other people, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not tracking, guys. I have to repeat back. Yeah, I gotta play it back. Yeah.
Yeah, so it does suck that that's like the reality of the situation with languages, but like I do feel that way, especially sometimes with like family, like with like different like in public social settings. Like I'm usually okay with like not being part of a conversation. Like if someone's talking and then they responding to me in English and then they switch up, but they know I understand, like I can still kind of contribute in English, and then they'll continue, or they'll be like, oh, I guess we have to like switch back a little bit to English or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's the language part is a tough one, and it sucks when
it's so much gray area.
Yeah.
It's like, what's it called? Because I'm like in a position of like customer, like there's a sense, like there's a factor of customer service to my job right now.
Yeah.
And like I definitely don't speak Filipino. Don't ask me to do that. I only do that if you pay for a Patreon. But what's it called? It's hard because like there's like I've seen literally both ends of that in the what's it called? Like sometimes even in the same day, where it's just like Filipino people will talk to me in Tagalog to like kind of like talk shit a little bit, or to like, you know what, like I don't know how to say this in English, but marunong ako mag salita in Tagalog. So I can tell you. Wow, look at that, yeah. That was for free. That's a free sample, yeah.
He's Filipino, guys. He's Filipino.
I'm good. My nose is about to bleed right now, yeah. That's tough, yeah. But I'm turning red too. Shit.
I see steam coming out of your head, yo.
Yeah. And like when I take these off, yo, there's gonna be.
It's like high processing power right now.
I use all of my RAM, yo. But back to that point, it's just like that's the only way they know how to communicate. Same way that like if you like, what's it called? If I was trying to explain something to you, I'm not gonna default to Tagalog because I only know like 20 words, whereas in like English I know more than 20, like 25.
Yeah,
but
26 sometimes.
26 sometimes, yeah.
Not including swear words. So.
Yeah. That's a whole other language, yeah. That's yeah. But yeah, there's so much gray area there, and it's just like, I don't know. That's a tough one. I
think one positive thing for sure about like profanities in different languages, I feel like that's like a great gateway to like, assimilating yourself into like different cultures and like kind of bridging the gap between the two. Because like you're showing an interest in like a common language and like kind of like tying yourself to like a language in like literally emotional ways with swear words, right?
And yeah, that's a really great way to connect because everyone's emotional. Everyone gets angry. Everyone, again, that's like a form of expression. Like on another level too, because one level is like your literal language, and then the next level is like the actual word you use. Regardless of the language you use it in, like it still means the same thing on an emotional level. Like fuck shit, or I don't want to say these things. Never mind. I was gonna say something else, and I'm like, Patreon.
But yeah, literally, like I saw this, like the thought just came to my mind. Like I saw this a social experiment on YouTube, or was it TikTok? Anyways, this channel did this experiment where like they got people to do two different experiments, where like one example was like they tell their contestants to put their hand in like an ice cold bucket of water, and like keep it there for 2 minutes. And then they're like, the first, I don't know if it was like which one was first, but then they said, stay, you'll get a prize, like depending on how long you can keep your hand in there.
Yeah.
The first round, you have to do it without swearing. And then the second round, you have to do it and you're allowed to swear. And like 100% of like the people who took part, like the people who were allowed to swear, the people who were allowed to swear lasted so much longer versus the times when those same people weren't allowed to swear.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like being able to express emotions that you're going through in real ways like that, using swear words, is like pretty significant in like even just like
Like
instinctual survival.
Yeah,
right?
like literal connect, like literal physical connection.
Yeah.
Damn. Express yourselves, guys.
Yeah. Swear. It's okay.
Don't bottle it up.
Yeah. Swear. Express your emotions, yo. That's okay.
Yeah.
In healthy ways. Don't hurt anybody. Emotionally or physically. Or
You're joking.
Some people might deserve it.
Some people do. Like that driver last night, that taxi who fucking tailgated me, yo.
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
Yo, fuck that guy. Sidebar. We were driving last night. It's like fucking 2 a.m. And then we're on Portage Avenue. For those who don't live in Winnipeg, Portage Avenue is a very, lots of lanes, basically. Road's completely empty. I'm on
Do most roads have lanes? Or?
Not as many as Portage Avenue. Yeah.
People in mega cities like, oh, how many lanes is that? Like 3 on each side? How about 6 on the freeway?
They're like, wow, they can still count the lanes with their hands. Yeah, I gotta use my toes too. Like
I've had 8 on. We have like a freeway where there's like 8 lanes on each side.
Yeah, and then a freeway beside that with another 8 lanes on each side.
8 in total? How about 8 on each side? Miss me with that bullshit, yo.
Did you say miss me with that bullshit? Oh yeah. Anyway, our dinky main road of 6 lanes, 3 in each direction. I'm on the very what's it called? I'm in my own lane. I'm not taking up more than 1 lane. I'm going the speed limit. I never like driving too slow, yo.
As you should. Stay in your lane.
Yeah. The limit's there for a reason. Gotta go the limit. So that's what it's a safe limit.
Maybe a little bit above, but never 10 under, yo.
Oh, absolutely not. And I swear to God, yo, this man was so close up my ass. It was like I could, how you can see the taillights in your rearview mirror? His taillights were covered by my bumper.
Bro,
or covered by my trunk.
I could feel that driver's breath on the back of my neck. Yo.
And he was sitting in the front seat, yo.
I could hear the music he was playing in his radio, yo.
Yeah, yo, dude, that driver's like back bumper was up Mike's ass, yo. Like I'm just like, okay, enough of this, yo. So I brake checked, yo, and then dude, I saw him swerve like off the thing, yo, and then he I think he tried to speed up, and then he slowed down again. I was just like, yeah, you fucking back off, yo, you fucking bitch. Like just change the lanes if you need to go that fast, like. Dude, just go around me. I wasn't gonna race you or anything. Like, I hate people. I get road rage. I'm getting road rage right now. I'm not even driving. Okay, sorry. Back to cultural identity. I need my coffee. I'm wired, yo.
But yeah, being able to express yourself is a great way for bridging the gap between 2 different languages and showing common interest in different cultures. Speaking of like beverages and food, like I can definitely relate to the strongest tie to my culture of being Filipino with food and beverages.
Yes.
And it's like I've had like a pretty up and down, like a give and take love-hate relationship with like food growing up, especially like I think a lot of people can relate to me in the sense where like growing up here, going to school, and especially with like lunches and stuff, it's like, oh, a lot of people like have like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or like pizza pops or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And or like Lunchables, right? And it's like I'm coming in with like
You pull up with the
mungo and rice.
mungo and rice in the fucking margarine container. Yeah.
Or like straight up like pancit or whatever, or like sinigang. And it's like growing up, you're like, because you're usually like one of few people who have like a non basic ass lunch, right? And you always felt like ashamed or like not like made the attention in a negative way, like, or like low-key bullied because like, oh, your food stinks. Oh, what's that looks weird, that looks like this, or that looks like that,
it looks slimy.
yeah, like, oh, what's that smell? It smells like fish or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, this smells like fish one. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
But like that, like I definitely like I'm ashamed, but like I don't resent myself for feeling that way, because like that's like,
Oh yeah.
of course, like a childlike mentality for people to like single out different foods,
Yeah.
and
Or-
like make fun of that.
Yeah.
But
Just
like,
anything that stands out.
yeah,
Yeah. Then obviously like a childlike reaction would be like, whoa, what's that?
Mhm.
Oh, what the heck? That's not normal.
that's not what
That's not my normal.
Timmy and
Jordan.
have, right? Like whatever, right? But like to see something different and like, and to be on the receiving end of that like prejudice or like judgment or whatever, oh, it definitely made me be like, oh, I don't want to feel that feeling anymore.
Mhm.
I'd ask one of my parents like, oh, can I just have like a sandwich or like pizza pop or whatever, right?
Just-
Something
just
that
give
like
me
everybody
chicken
else has,
nuggets.
like why do I have to have something different, right?
Yeah.
And like it sucks because like looking back, it's like it's like denying a part of like
Of
of my roots, right?
Yeah. A part of your like your roots.
And like
Exactly.
sure, like form factor wise, like in lunch wise, is like maybe it's not the best idea to have like something with sabao in like leakable containers. But I mean, at the same time, there's more than just like soupy, brothy types of like food in Filipino cuisine.
Adobo.
Yeah,
Tapa.
caldereta, whatever, right? And like, there's a lot of, and it's like interesting. I saw this person on TikTok talking about like how her growing up as being Vietnamese
Mm-hmm.
would always was always made fun of because of her lunches, and now that like it's been that like cultural foods, especially Asian cultural foods, have become like more mainstream. We're like, oh, that's cool. Oh, what is that? Is that from your culture or whatever? Like, especially with like sushi, pho, ramen, right?
Sushi's a big one too, yo. Dude, that was just like, ew, raw fish. Now it's
Yeah.
just like, oh my god, that's a delicacy.
Yeah.
Just like, it's been there, man. But
Yeah.
it's just perspective change, right?
And like for me, like it's interesting that like people like who would have been hating on your food younger are now like fondling or like I'm not fondling.
Like, it's a piece of sushi. Like,
People who were like hating on your food before are now like salivating or like maybe like in some ways like culturally appropriating your culture and like trying to take it for their own, right? They're like, oh, I like my cucumber sushi rolls. I'm like, oh my god, dude, what the fuck?
it's a cucumber sushi.
Yeah, like you know the cucumber maki. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm like, oh my god, dude, what the fuck is that? Or like, oh, I like pancet, bro. Like so it's like
Pancet.
interesting to see that shift growing up with between and having that like love-hate relationship. And like for me, looking back, knowing that like I was like consciously denying myself from like my connection to my culture in that way because I didn't want to feel excluded or like on the butt end of jokes. Like even when I got into like middle school and like junior high and I got to the point where I had more of a say into like what my lunches were, I'd be like, oh, okay, just buy this, and this, and then like I'll like pack my own lunch so that like I'll never be on the butt end of the joke, right? But now now over the like the past like
5
5
years,
7
10,
years,
yeah.
maybe, like I'm definitely I love my cultural food, right?
Yeah.
And like in all its different forms. Like obviously there's still some things that like taste palate wise like I'm not ready for. Like I'm a lot less attached to like bitter flavors for me personally. Like I like sweet, savory, sour, salty, right? Like, but like spicy, but like bitter is like the one thing for me. So like foods that are like more bitter, like I still shy away from.
Yeah.
But
Ampalaya.
definitely, fuck ampalaya. Bitter melon? Holy smokes. That is like, that thing looks like it's not supposed to be eaten already, yo. Shriveled up, mutated, fucking cucumber wannabe head ass bitter melon, bro. See, like cucumber maki's already bad. Imagine that with ampalaya, sliced ampalaya in there. Like, what the fuck is that, yo?
Unbastardized. Just to fuck around. We should have like a roulette. Different, like, it'll be like fucking like a bunch of cucumber maki. We'll do 4 cucumber makis. One of them is actually like sliced ampalaya. We won't like, we'll cut the skin off so you can't tell. And what's it called? You can only you can only choose like 1, 2, 3, or 4, and you get that one. Yeah.
Blind test, like do a game and like, oh, you have to grab one.
Yeah.
And then you have to try and shy away your reaction.
You know how we were talking about this, like talking about doing food, like a mukbang with Kuya Mike last night.
Yeah. we'll have like like a caramel ice cream and then like a bagoong ice cream. And you have to take
bagoong ice. Your breath is gonna stink for you.
One will be like an apple kombucha, and then one will be like straight up fish sauce, yo. But like now I've definitely grown like an immense appreciation for Filipino cuisine, especially Filipino breakfast. Oh my god, that is like elite. If you guys hadn't tried Filipino breakfast, definitely try it. Yeah. Garlic fried rice with like any style egg you want, with like your choice of protein, a couple slices of cucumber, tomatoes, or oranges on the side.
Dude,
you know,
whenever you do like the sunny side up and it's on top of the rice, you just like
break it,
break it, and it
oozes into the rice. Oh my god! So good.
Fuck shit.
And like, I don't know, like for me, like because of like I've grown that appreciation, and like I can't necessarily have a lot of those foods like every single day, because some of them take a lot more prep work, or like those ingredients aren't necessarily readily available year round. Like I've grown like this interest in like trying to recreate those dishes.
Yeah.
Right. And like I think starting that journey more recently over the past couple of years has grown my love and appreciation for that culture, and like other cultures that I tried to recreate through my bastardized skills in the kitchen or whatever, or lack thereof.
Subscribe to Bastardize when it comes out. I can't wait. It's gonna happen.
But yeah, like trying, like experimenting, and like appreciating the roots and like the meaning behind different dishes, and what it means for you in your life today, and what it meant for your ancestors, and what that meant historically. And like it's kind of interesting to see that connection. Like I've definitely been able to like connect with my culture in that way. But outside of food and like I wouldn't like familiar connections, like obviously that's a given, but like food is a huge thing for me for more recently growing that appreciation for my tie to the Filipino culture.
Mm.
Like, and like in terms of like work, like what our feedback person, our audience member was referring to, like I can also kind of relate to that, because like when you talk to someone and like they react to you, like when they say, "Oh, Filipino ka ba?" Right?
Wow,
When they say, "I'm
Tagalog si
Filipino."
Kuya.
Tagalog for me. Like when they ask that initial question and then like you answer, like for me, I answer back in English. I'm like, yeah, but like I can understand. Like I almost see like it's kind of split 50-50 where like someone will be like, oh, that's good. My son, he doesn't understand or speak, and then the other side of it will be like, oh, sayang. Like, oh, what a waste!
Yeah.
What a waste that you're born here and you have Filipino parents, but then you can't speak it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, sure, I get like being bilingual is like a great asset to have,
Absolutely.
but like it does suck, like where you're, I wouldn't say constantly, but like you're periodically reminded of the idea, like, oh, you're kind of like letting down your culture in that way.
Here's the thing, though. It's like, yes, in a way, but it's also like that thing where it's just like you came to Canada. What did you expect? Like, it's just like you came to Canada for a different life, so things are gonna be different. Sorry, I thought I made that sound. I was like, oh shit. But sorry, that sounded kind of harsh. Like, what did you expect? But like again, what did you expect though? It's just like, something in my head is just like, oh yeah, I hear, oh sayang, like you like forgot about the culture. But like, no shit, I forgot about the culture. I'm not in the Philippines anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, I'll take what I can get, but it's just like my parents wanted a different life. They got it, but this is what it costs you. You can't have your cake and eat it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we didn't move to Philippines 2.0. We moved to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, again, that's gonna be something that's hard and like a tough pill to swallow for like Filipino immigrants. But it's just like, it is like, yeah, that comes with the territory. Like, you wanted a better life, but it's gonna be different in some sort of like aspect. So yeah, whenever I do get that, it's just like, yeah, you're right. I forgot. I don't know my roots, or like my native tongue, or my parents' native tongue, should I say, because I'm born here. But it's just like, I don't know. That's something I just like don't take personally. It's just like, well, I grew up here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no shit. And it's just like, like, yeah, like would it be a little bit more ideal that I knew both? Yes. And it's still possible. I can still learn. There's like what's that popular language app? It's like,
Duolingo, Rosetta Stone.
That's what it was. I was gonna say like Mother Teresa or something, but that's different.
Mother Teresa. Oh, you know that I'm actually starting my new language. It's a course called Mother Teresa. Okay. Yeah. He's not learning a new language.
I'm not learning a new language. This is why I only know one language, guys. I've been looking at the wrong app the whole time, yeah.
You're just looking on Mother Teresa's Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Where do I learn? Where's the Tagalog?
Yeah, this is all in English.
Wait, Mother Teresa wasn't Filipino?
If she was Filipino, Mother Teresa,
Mother.
Nanay Teresa. I'm an idiot. Anyway,
It would be for sure Nanay Tess.
Nanay Tess.
Nanay Tess.
Or like something like, yeah, or just some like out of pocket nickname that has nothing related to like whatever whatever the fucking thing is, whatever the fucking name is.
Mm-hmm.
Like I swear I know like yeah, I'm not even gonna go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, fuck, I lost my point. But yeah, it's just like I never take that to heart, and in a way, it's just like yeah, it's just like yeah, I could know 2 languages, but I don't, and that part of that is that I chose that because I chose to put my energy into other things other than like learning that specific language. And teach their own. So like fucking that financial advisory met yesterday knew 7 languages.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was bullshitting, but I believe him. But what's it called? Yeah, I don't know. That's something I don't take personally.
Right.
I just feel like that's something that's very easily judged and very easily like looked upon or like brush it over.
Right.
And it's like, oh, you're Filipino, you should know your language. But yeah, I fucking grew up here.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we're here is because my parents wanted a better life. So I'm not going to fucking be ashamed of that.
Right.
And like, I'm going to like, thank God for my parents because they wanted the best for me and they didn't just want to settle.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that should be the same for you because you're fucking here right now in Canada judging me for not knowing my language. So, like we all wanted a better life and that path to that was coming here.
Right.
So yeah, I never take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's annoying, but it's just like, well, they're just, yeah, they just don't have the time or effort or the brain power to really think about that in that way.
Right.
Because it's just like it's a very black and white for them, but it's like very really it's in reality very gray, or can be very gray. So yeah, that's my thing for language though.
Yeah,
but it's just hard to like because it's just inevitable.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like it is easier for like us like people who like understand but don't speak to be at that like halfway point of like compared to people who don't understand and people who can do more than one language, right? So like I think it's easier for us in our experiences to like not take it too personally because we can still kind of bridge that gap. But then like for people who the feedback person who like doesn't understand at all,
completely in the dark,
or like maybe knows like a couple swear words or whatever, like to have that experience and like maybe continually come into these situations where they feel left out or they feel like they're constantly being looked down upon by other people, by people in Filipino cultures. And like I'm sure these issues can be translated to other people, like other people who are in similar situations with different languages or different cultures, right? But like for people who like don't understand or have that like linguistical connection to their culture will feel singled out, and like that it sucks. But like I also feel like there's only so much that's in their control in their upbringing to have been exposed to the opportunity of being well versed in that sense.
Yeah.
So like
it's
easier to say, it's easy to say that like don't take it to heart too much, but then it sucks when it's kind of out of your power. But at the same time, it's like I feel like people who are bilingual should have that sense of responsibility
to like
socially to try and bridge that gap, even if it's like you're speaking in like what's it called, Taglish. Like when you like blend the two different languages, like Tagalog and English, into like conversation, so that you can kind of like get the person you're talking to like
to keep them up to speed,
and
right?
This word can exchange for this word in this sentence, like, and like kind of like help them grow, mentally exercise their brain to be like, oh, I'm kind of getting a better grasp of the language,
to like help them like naturally understand context. Basically.
And like I know for me, growing up, like I'd have people around or like friends who'd be able to like translate for me or like kind of like paraphrase, and like that definitely helped me getting a better grasp of like the language. So like for me, I try to, now that I'm not like at perfect stage, I'm not like bilingual, but like now that I'm able to kind of understand and like translate, like I actively try to bridge that gap with, especially with people who aren't Filipino, to not feel singled out. Especially I find that like in social situations, especially at like work, to like especially if the people who are speaking in Tagalog are like talking shit or not talking shit, right? Like to
just
fill
talking
in,
in
fill,
general. Yeah.
to fill in, especially if like there's a joke. I feel like that's so much more like endearing as a person who felt left out to be then included into the joke, and like then learn like maybe one or two words from that conversation, so that they feel connected back into the conversation. So like, sure, like it's we can all put in our work to try and be bilingual, but it's like easier said than done time wise, right?
Absolutely.
But
we don't all have time to be on Mother Teresa yet. Like
not everybody has this natural subscription to
Mother Teresa.
or we're born bilingual, right? So I think it is definitely a responsibility for
people who have the bilingual or are bilingual.
Whoever has that linguistic magic
to
try and share and like include people in it, right?
I am so like straight up, I am so bad at that, and like more even more than now, I have like a big responsibility for that because my girlfriend's white. Love you, Taylor. And it's just like, like there's been parties where it's just like all the jokes are in Tagalog, and then I don't catch her up, and it's just like, it's just like being completely left out, not knowing what's happening. That's fucking scary, yo. And it's just like I'm so bad at like keeping up and like doing my social due diligence to keep her up to speed. So no, that's fucking, it's work, but I feel like it's very meaningful, especially like it's hard because I feel like I haven't been in a situation where I've been completely left out or where I have no sense of understanding,
right?
Because like but no, I definitely got to work on my social due diligence, and keeping people up to speed.
Yeah, we all have room for improvement, right?
Absolutely,
one thing that came to mind about that the feedback was like in terms of like being appearance, like being too fair skinned, or like, oh, you're not Filipino enough, or like, oh, you're on the opposite end, like, oh, you're still kind of brown, you're clearly Asian. So like that idea of like that, like the concept of like colorism is like huge, especially in like third world country, like different foreign countries, right? Like countries that have been like colonized by Europeans or Spaniards, right? Like to have that sense of like, having your skin appear more fairer is the ideal, and being darker skinned is
less.
You're more like indigenous, like that's not like you're like less than, and like it's so toxic because like especially like I can speak specifically for Filipino culture. It's like, oh wow, like people will get like papaya soap to try and like whiten their skin, right?
The papaya soap, dude.
Or like all to just like be more closer to the ideal acceptance of appearing more white, right? And like it sucks that that's like
that's the standard.
Like that's the standard.
That there's a color that's more than the other, or there's a color that's less than the other.
Yeah, all like, embedded in white supremacy, man. Fuck that shit, yo.
Fuck that.
Like that idea of colorism is like it's like a reality that we must face, and like the toxic racist ties that it has is so detrimental culturally to us being able to connect as people, right?
And it's such a, and that's like it's such a like color is such a physical thing. Like it has like literally nothing else to do than like what you look like. Like it has nothing to do with like if you're smarter or not, or if you have more of this or not, or if less than this or not. Like it's literally, well, I'm not a doctor, but like I don't know that, like the science behind like skin tones and everything, but it's just literally like a factor of like what you look like, and that's it. Doesn't say you're smarter than anyone else or if you're dumber than anyone else.
No.
It's literally just like, oh, you're just a different color.
Yeah.
You just look different.
Yeah. God forbid anybody doesn't look white, right? Like, I mean, I digress. Like, it sucks that that's the reality, but it is dangerous to try and prop up the idea that like you have to look a certain way to be the ideal, the standard, to be accepted, right?
Yeah.
In especially
Society.
like Western society, right? Or even in the countries that where you originated from, right?
It's crazy because it might almost even be bigger in those countries in a sense. Like, again, like Filipino celebrities, yeah. Like, some of the, I'm pretty sure like most of the top, like the biggest celebrities right now are very fair skinned.
Yeah.
And that everyone just
Or
tries
like,
to be like that.
or mixed culturally mixed,
yeah.
right?
They try to be like that. What is the thing? The papaya soap. Or like fucking, have you heard the, don't come in the shade, you're gonna get too dark. That's not good. Again.
SPF. There's
SPF, yeah. They fucking embrace that shit, yo. Like fucking, like, this is a sidebarring, but it's just like, yo, we can fucking enjoy the sun and not burn up like white people. They burn up quick, yo.
Yeah,
they actually have to use sunscreen.
Yeah,
dude. Okay, this my take is kind of getting jokes right now, but just like fucking like me dating Taylor now, like we're gonna go out. She's like, oh, let me put my sunscreen on. I go, what's that? And then she goes, fuck you, and I'm like, yeah. So again, just fucking, it's, I don't know. I just wanted to put that in there. I think I just wanted to make fun of Taylor, but
it's like, I don't know. For me, like my sister's like been getting more, like a lot more. Like she's been into like skincare or whatever, right? And like hearing through osmosis, like hearing more a little bit more of skincare, like the SPF, like UV index in like weather forecastings does make a difference. Even if it's not like extremely sunny, like the UV rays still penetrate and like can be detrimental long term on the aging progression of your skin and like the condition of your skin. So that's why like some people, even if it's like not too sunny out, like put put on sunscreen, or like a moisturizer with SPF in it to help guard your skin from like accelerated aging. And like I think it's interesting that like people in Western society are like trying to get more dark, get more tan, whereas like people in the Eastern world are trying to be more fair skinned.
Yeah.
So it's like it's an interesting what's the word, dichotomy.
I think so. I don't know. You know more words than I do. I only know 26.
That was that dichotomy is actually the word of the day on my
word of the day. We should have a word of the day on here. Yeah. I'm gonna write it down. Okay, word of the day. We're gonna do that on the podcast. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, let's define what dichotomy even means real quick. Define dichotomy.
Oh shit!
What's that?
My dad gave me these.
Oh.
Yeah, he was on a bike ride, and he's like, it's like bike week, and the animal services gave this to him.
Oh, nice.
He's like, do you want to give this to Daddy? I know these are kind of big though.
Yeah, I'll bring it. Teddy might not be able to eat it, just depending on what's in the treat.
Okay.
might give him diarrhea. Who knows?
It's Kirkland, so I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, if not, then yeah, you do what you want. You can eat it too if you want.
Maybe we'll give it to Max.
Oh yeah.
Dichotomy, a division or contrast between two things that are or are represented as being opposed or entirely different. So I guess
Read that again.
a division or contrast between two things that are or are represented as being opposed or entirely different. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That's what dichotomy means?
Yeah. So I guess it did kind of fit in that sense.
Okay.
Because like one side wants to be less tanned, other side wants to be more tanned, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're completely different things, but like not necessarily completely different in and of themselves. Because like they're both trying to reach each other's standards.
Yeah. Based on the same subject.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know 27 words now, guys. Interesting.
Yeah, colorism is a slippery slope, man.
Absolutely.
It's definitely not one that I'd encourage because, like, isn't there more than one color in the rainbow, in the color spectrum, right?
Yeah, and I feel like that is just purely subjective.
Right.
No, there's no the only way I could let anyone be objective on it is just that there's purely science based. But again, I feel like that's almost just that's basically very marginal, if anything. Again, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not claiming anything. Don't quote me on any of this shit. But like, hey, regardless, I feel like color is just looks and doesn't have to do with anything of like how valuable you are as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
We're all valuable, despite.
I feel like there's so much resources that have been spent on studies in was it eugenics? It's like people like European scientists trying to prove why being white is superior, and like that's why like when people try and take it scientifically, like where from my understanding, like the basis of where that comes from is from hate and fear and trying to prove that through resources like, oh, this and this and this is why being white is better than the rest. It's like when people try and prove genetics or whatever, like through that lens racially.
Yeah.
Like race isn't even like that was created to divide us and to create a power system, right? And like for people to maintain power, right? For colonizers to maintain power, right?
Yeah.
And to perpetuate this idea of hate and exclusivity, right? It's like it's the colorism and racism. It's like we all bleed red, bro. We all bleed red.
We all bleed red, yo.
It's like, why should we find? Isn't it more interesting that we can find individuality within ourselves and still be united in that sense, instead of all being the same? I mean, instead of all being like aiming to be like just one thing. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, because they're all aiming to be. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it, but it makes sense in my head. I see. Yeah, I get it.
I don't know. That makes sense.
Are you tracking? I'm tracking actually. I just can't talk. So. Got you.
Big gulps, yo.
Big gulps, yo.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think, like, where do we belong? The idea of where do we belong culturally after all of that, I think it's important that like we are in touch with our cultural roots, but to not be so dictated by trying to live up to every single tradition or cultural standard, right?
Absolutely. And I feel like that's like,
And that goes for like your cultural standard and like cultural standard in wherever you live, right?
mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And I feel like, yeah, a lot of it becomes more defined when you understand like you get in touch with like more so your situation. Like, oh, my parents immigrated here, but I live in this country, but my parents came from this country, so that I'm gonna have parts of this, parts of that. This is, I don't know. I don't like. I could get into it, but it's just like also just kind of like being aware of like what your reality is. Like it's very like it'd be like very easy if it was just like black and white, but things aren't. So to kind of like navigate that gray area, you just kind of like understand the situation, know what you're content with, change what you're not content with, and kind of I think go from there.
Yeah.
Like as you can plan, you can elaborate, you can think on all of these things, but it's just like you gotta like some of it you just gotta like step at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely not something like it's a lifetime experience to try and
100%.
navigate where you stand, and like you're continuously changing and
absolutely
experiencing different things, right? But I think I also think it's important to not allow hate or fear to define how you look at that, whether you're on the side of like, oh, am I too much immersed into this culture, am I not immersed enough into this culture, and like if you're on the other end, like oh, this person's different than me, I'm not gonna, it's okay, and it's okay, I'm not gonna allow hate or fear of something that's not like me to dictate how I see that person, right?
Or even how you see yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like your continuous journey point is just like I think it's also important to never feel like oh, I'm not there yet, I don't know, I don't have my identity yet. I think it's very healthy to be like here's where I'm at right now, and knowing like it's okay to be different from like a year ago, and knowing it's okay to be different a year from now. And like I don't know, because I feel like it's just like, oh, I don't understand my identity yet, to ask me later. Like, just become like know what you're comfortable with, and then it's okay like to, if your identity is be like, yeah, I'm here, I'm not sure where this and this is, but I know where this and that are, that type of thing. And being okay with like things changing, like, and like not knowing the whole picture yet, not understanding some things yet, but that still being a part of your identity.
Right.
Yeah. My tattoo is actually based off of a similar concept.
Your butt tattoo?
No, I don't have a butt tattoo, James, but the tattoo I want to do is based off of similar concept. Yeah. For people who watch this podcast now, they'll know, because I've been like, people know I want to get a tattoo, but they ask me, oh, what kind of tattoo? I'm like, oh, I have a concept, but there's a little taste. So yeah, I didn't think I'd ever share that, but this podcast does things, yo.
Yeah, and like I too want to get a tattoo that like ties me to like things that are meaningful to me. Absolutely. But at the same time, like not all body art has to mean something, right?
It could be just,
it's like, oh, I like the look of that. Like
that's good enough reason.
Yeah,
that's all you need. You don't have to make it some big elaborate thing, because at the end of the day, it's going on you, not for anyone else.
Yeah, my body, my choice, man.
Amen to that.
Yeah. So
sorry, I sidebarred there a little bit. I've been sidebarring today, yeah. But anyways.
Yeah, I think I think we covered most of those points.
Okay.
I think we answered the question. Did we answer the question?
I feel like we gave our take on the situation.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't want to feel like I answered anything. I feel like, well, at least I feel like I didn't answer anything, but I gave perspective.
Yeah, we gave our feedback on the feedback.
Yeah. And then they can take our feedback, apply it to their feedback.
Yeah.
And decide what to do.
Yeah.
And give us feedback in the future.
Yeah. They gave feedback and we feed back. Yeah, I guess in terms of like where you belong, I think we can only control so much of like how people react to us, and like sure it's important, and yes it's important to stand up for yourselves, and like if you see someone who's being like in this circumstance in this topic being racially discriminated, to like try and say something, to do something to be better than that, right? But like in terms of like where you belong, I think that as much as culture has a part in that, I think finding your people in your social circles, whether that's familial, whether that's like friendships that become family to you, like you'll find your people, even if it's small. There's no specific number, like better quantity over quantity, quality over quantity, as I always say.
Amen. Yeah.
Unless it's McDonald's, I definitely like get quantity for sure.
Yeah.
But I digress.
But
yeah,
it's okay. We have Tim Hortons over here. But regardless,
it's better to have if you have your circle small and they're high quality people that bring meaning and joy and love and into your life, then that's okay. You'll find where you belong, and
amen.
It doesn't have to necessarily be in one place or with one type of people. Like, it's such a broad thing, but I wouldn't like you were saying earlier, I wouldn't allow myself to, or like I still struggle with that sometimes too myself. Like I'm not saying this at a point of like where I'm at like a final stage of like, oh, I am elite. No. Like we're all still growing, and these are all things that like I'm taking to heart myself and like trying to work on. It's like where you belong doesn't necessarily have to be tied to one single culture.
Nah, man.
We're all different, and we'll find our people and where we belong, what we enjoy, and what we choose to have part as our identity.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah, if we're constantly comparing ourselves to like, oh, am I not this enough? Am I not that enough? We're like, even outside of like looking at it culturally, like if you're looking at it in terms of like even like the progress and regression that is social media towards the social climate. Like if we're constantly comparing ourselves, am I this enough? Am I that enough? Then we're just going to be fighting a losing battle.
Yeah, you're never gonna be enough.
No,
especially
if you're just constantly comparing yourself.
Yeah, if your standard is someone else or something else, like no, you won't ever reach that, and that's just not a good, like a lose situation, like you said. Yeah, we went off on this one here.
Yeah, I didn't realize we're that far in, but we also did have like that cut for
picking up the food.
They're picking up the food.
Yeah, anyway, you're right.
But like, yeah, I don't know. One show that the feedback person was talking about was this stop animation show short series on Netflix called Oni, and like I haven't watched it myself yet, but the idea is that there's this like land of like gods, like there's like this water god or like fire god, right? And like they're all these different characters who are trying to find what their talents are and like what their purpose is gonna be in their world. and like struggling to and one of the main characters is like struggling or is like a late bloomer in like figuring that out for themselves, and like following that character in that journey to figuring out where they belong and what their identity and purpose is in their world is like something that is clearly food for thought or representative of the topic of belonging in specific cultures.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm gonna and I heard that the director of the series is a Japanese American, and his son growing up in America being Japanese American, the director made the show for his son.
Oh shit.
To kind of give him an idea of finding belonging in a world where you don't necessarily belong.
Yeah. You good, bro?
There's a little
What's up, audio?
I'll get some water.
Oh yeah. Sidebar.
Shit got me tearing up.
Yeah. You get emotional.
The show's so good, yo. I haven't even watched it yet.
Oh, yeah. That's how good the show is, yo. James is already crying about it, and we haven't even laid eyes on the show yet, yo.
Isn't that crazy?
Damn.
Yeah, because like the director's son, being younger, is struggling with finding where he belongs in
Like finding his
American,
place
in American society, right?
Mm.
So I think having like media representation in whatever media form of media is so important to be able to see characters brought to life in meaningful ways where you can relate on more than just a
literal way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because some things you can express differently or better in like a dramatic way, like a show.
Yeah.
Or is it an animation?
It's stop animation.
Oh, right. Okay.
Motion,
Then there you go. Like even in animation, some things show better than in like an actual movie.
Yeah.
So.
And like that's not to take away from like live action actors.
Live action or even like specific like documentaries or like TED Talks on the specific topic, but it's just like again like it'll just hit different notes. Like they're good for what they're for, but again you'll hit different notes with different forms of media, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, all power to fucking all like different forms of media on the same topic, yo. Amen to that.
Yeah, I do think. Speaking of belonging, did you want to share your thoughts on the movie we watched yesterday? Also, disclaimer for people who haven't watched the second Spider-Man in Spider-Verse movie, Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. Spoilers ahead.
Man, it was definitely moments where they were tearjerkers. I didn't. What's it called? I feel like, not gonna lie though, I feel like I would have cried if I didn't have that gin smash. But
Really?
Or no, sorry, I would have cried if I didn't have that gin smash. Because I was kind of just vibing, so I wasn't. What's it called? Like I felt it, but it's just like my tears didn't come out. There's times where I just had to go like this, but that's because I was drunk. But regardless, fuck, that was a good movie. It was, I think it, despite me being drunk, it held on to my emotions. It had such a good grip on my emotions that I'd miss like certain points of it, and then it's just like literal things were happening, and then I'd miss all of that because I was like, my heart was like like that, and then it just kept me through the whole movie, and I didn't realize we were there for like 2 hours, like because that was a 2.5 hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or 2 hour movie at least. But
yeah, 2 hour 20 minutes, I think.
oh shit, yeah, it didn't feel like 2 hours.
Yeah,
yo. Dude, when it said
Hmm?
when it said to be continued, yo,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there's no way, yo. I've only been here for an hour, and I looked at the clock, and I was like, oh fuck,
It's been 2 hours 20 minutes already.
20 mil. Yeah, I don't know how much I want to say, but you're the this is the REM review time, yo. Reminder, yo. Remind them, James. Remind them.
I don't know. What would you rate it out
10.
of 10? 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I like the first Spider-Verse movie, was it Into?
Mm-hmm.
That because I'm not a big like animation guy. I'm not like, that's just me. I do love it for what it's for, or for what it is, I mean. But fuck, the first one blew me away. I had high standards for this one, so which I was kind of scared because it's just like, you know, I don't want to set myself up for failure. I'm happy, yo.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, fuck, like the story is like progressed really well. Like, oh my god, like it was. I don't even know how. I need to watch it again.
Do you have off the top of your head, not to say that like there's one moment that's like the best, but like what's one that was memorable to you that like drew like either as like, oh, that this animation, this action is sick, or like, oh, this was a really emotional beat for me?
I think there was a part where it's just like, you know how there's that kind of like that fight where, or like that underlying topic of like, you know, letting like where they're like Gwen and Miles were like debating on like, oh, should I let my parents know who I really am?
Yeah.
Or what I'm really about.
Right.
Or like, I guess it wasn't like the analogy they used was like to their parents, but it's just like there's that underlying topic like like what am I really about? Like what am I, like I don't have to like fit into this narrative. Like what am I about? Who am I? Type of thing. I don't know. I gotta watch it again, dude. Fuck. That's kind of something that stood out to me, and it like kind of resonated with me a little bit, because it's just like I've always been like the guy to like fit in, but I know that's not what I really want.
Right.
So
yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. I don't know, how about you?
I think what's it called? The reason why I brought it up as a segue of belonging, because of that like iconic, for me, the iconic line from Miles when he's like running away from everybody, and like Miguel O'Hara's like leading the chase, and they're on that sky train. Yeah. And then Miguel grabs Miles, and then Miles is like charging up his electric venom to be like he was like, what was the line? He was like, everybody's been trying to tell me how my story's supposed to be, but nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm like, yeah, I feel that shit. Yeah. I feel that shit. Oh. I feel like it's so like the different themes that they covered, like especially in that moment of like finding belonging and like forging your own path, and like not allowing your circumstances and like what societal standards
to define
who you are, and like who you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to do, like, right?
What your story is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I feel like that's such a powerful message for especially like kids growing up, to see like different representation in their movies, in meaningful stories, to perpetuate like messages that are universally identifiable, right? Like to relatable, I mean, right? I think that's so cool to see it well done and like given so much love and care in this medium, right? Yeah. Like finding that belonging, so cool. And like another thing like that
Oh, we good. We good.
Oh, okay. And I feel like another theme that I really connected to was like the grief side of like losing meaningful people in your life, and like how much of the bad is connected to what good can come of it, and like that struggle of like that inner struggle of being like, oh, this really shitty thing happened to someone that I loved, and like what does that mean for my life going forward, and like trying to find the meaning and the good that can come out of it, even though it's so hard to see sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And seeing people like Miles and like all the different spider people,
like who they lost,
to struggle with who they lost, and like what to and to struggle to find what good they can make of those situations, especially like the focus on like even Miguel, like being like him revealing that like he found a different universe where he was happy and he had a family and he wanted that, so he jumped into that universe. And I think they alluded to him like taking out that Miguel O'Hara and like him becoming that Miguel O'Hara so that he can be happy in himself.
Yeah. Or no, what happened is that Miguel O'Hara in that universe died.
Right.
But
and
then
he took that spot.
He took that spot, even though there wasn't supposed to be Miguel O'Hara after that. And sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, and that choice like unraveled in front of his face, right?
Yeah.
And like to see that like even for a darker character like Miguel O'Hara to come to that crossroads in his life where he's met with like a loss that didn't necessarily a loss to start with, to find joy and meaning, and then to lose that all over again in your efforts is so relatable, because it's not like it was just an easy fix for him. Like, oh, no, I struggled and I did this and now I'm happy again. But like for Miguel, it's like, I was struggling, I was in this dark place, I found some joy, I found love, and like it was taken away from me. Yeah. And now he's still on this journey of like trying to find that, and like maybe even like have this like negative inverse mentality of like, oh, I'm doing good, but I'm also harming others in the process of doing that. And like for Miles, for him to be able to, like, we don't know how that's gonna work out yet with his dad, but it was interesting to see in the different universe, where in Earth 42, where the spider originated from, what his world looked like when his dad died instead of Uncle Aaron. And I thought that was cool to see because like for me, like I always think about like when I lost a relative, like my mom. Yeah. Like to see like, oh, because I always think about what would it have been better if like it was me instead, like swapping circumstances and being like, maybe it would have been better off the other way around, right? Or like if that didn't happen, maybe if it was someone else, right? Yeah. And like to have that that concept being explored, and like how things are different and like not necessarily better, it's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting to think about, and like especially with like Gwen in particular, with her losing Peter and like the struggle of like between her and her dad. I felt like after losing Peter, like I felt like I could really connect towards that, especially in that sense of like resentment towards you and like a familial figure, especially if you have like, especially for me, like losing my mom and like my connection to my relatives being broken and still on the progression of mending to this day, right? And like to see that, and to see not everything, it's hard to talk about, right? Yeah. It's hard to connect and like not harbor resentment and hate absolutely towards specific people that are in your life and that you love, right? And and it's hard because like not everybody gets that. Not everybody can understand to like a similar level of there's only so much that you can listening and allowing someone who's gone through losing a loved one, there's only so much you can do to support and relate, right?
Absolutely.
And like obviously that's amazing to have people in your life that you can talk to, but not everybody can at every moment.
Mm-hmm.
And like to see these characters struggle with not being able to express how they feel or feel like they're alone in it, and then to find people along their journey who can relate and who are able to support them, and then even the people who weren't able to relate or support, like come back to those relationships and try
to do whatever they
to try
could
and
do.
rebuild the bridge that they burned down, right?
Yeah.
And I felt like those were such emotional points for me, especially with like Gwen.
Yeah.
To see that progression and the careful dialogue that they had, like even like having those conversations where you can't necessarily like look at someone, but like still try and like express and vent out like how you feel,
Yeah.
even if it's not in the most healthy way. But having space as well is like a huge thing that they were able to display in the importance of having space and time and being able to process things, and not having to have these quick resolutions that like a lot of movies try and do, right?
That like
it's like, oh, there's a wound, we'll just band-aid that in, and
like,
that's
it's like
that
a
easy.
like a flick of a switch thing, right? Yeah.
I feel like oh my god,
it just takes away value, or not value, but like meaning from the whole situation. Like it just feels like, oh, this big thing that happened, really, that didn't really mean anything. When it's just like, oh, it really just flip the switch, or you're good. Yeah.
It's not that easy, right?
No.
And like I felt like the movie did a good job of like not making it like that quick fix, that flick of the switch, that quick band-aid, that easy solution to this process. And like one thing that I've learned in like my journey specifically with grief, and not that like it's perfect or like I have a handle on it, but like having that space left, that void within yourself left with someone, losing someone in your life, it's never going to that feeling is never going to be gone or anything like that. But like one person that I talked to when I went to grief group in Alberta, she the coordinator, she was saying that like a lot of people think that grief is something that goes away with time, and yes, time can
has
heal
a factor,
wounds, and that's important, and so can love can heal wounds. But at the same time, like that feeling of grief isn't something that is meant to be disregarded or put aside or ignored, but something that you nurture and you give time to. Because like she was saying, like an example is like it's not that in your heart, like think of your heart as like a storage bin, I guess. It wasn't the exact metaphor, but it's the same meaning. Like if you have like a space designated for your grief, it's not that like your grief is moved out of the storage area. You just make room and expand your storage area for other things in your life, while still having a space within yourself designated to that loss, and like remembering the person and showing, and not necessarily associating that feeling of loss with negative emotions, but like positive memories, and like really trying to do like self searching with that loss, and seeing how you can flip that into positive memories instead of just negative emotions, while those emotions are necessary for that process. Like it's important to allow yourself to feel, to cry, to feel that.
Absolutely.
And not that like you can just like switch on and off, like oh, I'm sad about this, I'm happy about this, but like to find that balance, to give that time to think and dwell on it, right? Not that you should be stuck on the negative feelings, but like
just to like feel, like in general, feel things through.
Yeah. Like I don't know, that movie is so good, man.
Yeah. It was like, I knew it was gonna be really like well put together, but it was so like well thought out, and I think in a way that it was good that it was like in its like in the format they chose. Like it wasn't like a live action thing, but it was like animated, and I feel like there's things that you could like portray better that where you're not limited by say a live action or say any other format.
Right.
Yeah. But no, that was yeah. I need to watch it again, yo.
Yeah. Outside of the themes and like the story, like the animation was like amazing, dude.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
colors, the different like animation, like the character designs where they would change the way the animation looked to portray different characters from different universes and like different emotions, like when mood shifts, colors shift, and all that. And I thought that
Dude.
was so cool.
Yeah. Like the details. Yeah, like you'd see like little reactions. Like there's I think there was one scene that where I really appreciated where it's just like, you know, when Gwen came back, and then she's having that talk with her dad, and it's like it's getting like more and more emotional, and you can see like the walls start to kind of like melt a little bit. Like, you can't do that in a live action. That's just gonna look weird. But it's just like your heart's melting with this situation, and then you can like you're feeling this, and you visually see that on the walls, and that just fucking I cried a little bit, but you didn't see because I wasn't sitting beside you. But yeah. Anyway, that's just to go to like in terms of like the animation and how it like what's it called helped to amplify the feelings of and the situation, like the ambience. I don't know.
The emotional atmosphere. It amplified it. Yeah.
Fuck.
Such a good movie, man. When I do rewatch it, I kind of do want to rewatch it in the Japanese dub.
This is a Japanese dub?
Yeah, like
Okay.
apparently they're gonna release it. Like I haven't watched the first one in Japanese dub, but like I saw like clips of like Japanese voice actors like voicing it over for their release in Japan.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, it sounds so good too.
Oh yeah, hey.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, props to like the English voice actors that they chose. Also cool. Shamik Moore,
Hailey Steinfeld was
Haley
Haley.
Steinfeld, yeah.
Yeah.
Fire, Oscar Isaac as Miguel O'Hara. Fuck, man, they're all good, yo. I forgot. I think Jake Johnson is the voice actor for Peter B. Parker, but
Okay.
he was dope too. One cool thing that I found out about the movie was you know the Legoverse.
Yeah.
There was this kid, this 14-year-old YouTuber, who when the initial trailer for this movie came out, he like recreated it on his YouTube channel, stop motion style with just his Legos in his room or whatever, and like he recreated the entire trailer with just Lego pieces, and it got so much attention that the directors of the movie were like, oh, we want to put that into our movie, but let's get him to do it. So like it's
That's
so cool that
dope.
like this 14-year-old kid just doing this as a hobby and like putting his love into it got this opportunity to be showcase his talents on the big screen.
Yeah. Just doing what he loves, yeah. That's fucking dope. Prank that.
It was like a small shred of ice.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Easy 10.
Oh.
Easy 10 out of 10 for sure.
Slight work. I don't think I've ever given a movie a 10, yo.
Really?
I don't think so. Maybe Top Gun.
You're saying Fast 9 isn't a 10? You?
Fuck you.
Because I know Fast 10 is a 10, right? I haven't watched it yet. Have you watched it?
I'm like debating if I want to pay for that, but I don't know. I think I'll only watch it if I'm just like, fuck, like, I'm conflicted right now because I think I kind of want to watch it, but I don't want to like. It has to be very like I don't want to be like putting in any work for that, yo. Like when I watch Fast 9, dude, I went like when I had the entire day off, no one was in the theater, and I had nothing else to do. So it was just very like chill. I was literally like no stress. Like that's if watching Fast 9 means I have to like go through lines, wait for anything, go when it's busy, fuck that. Not worth it, yo. I've heard it's a good movie, and I think I will appreciate it for what it is, but just right now, yo, if I have to like stress about it in any way, shape, or form, yo, fuck that, yo. Yeah. How about you? Are you gonna watch it?
Fast 9?
Yeah.
When maybe if it's like on a streaming service.
Yeah.
Or maybe like on a random Tuesday, I don't know.
Yeah. That might have to be the case, yo.
Yeah. We'll see. It's not it's not my top priority.
No.
But yeah. I don't know, what's the last 10 out of 10 movie that I gave? Oh, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised with that one, actually. That got me good.
Mm-hmm. Super emotional. Like we've talked about it before, but like if you haven't watched it yet, watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, man.
Yeah, spoiler alert, but it's just like how like the movie's so good that there's a scene with two rocks and that somehow wrenched my heart or played a part into wrenching my heart.
Right.
Like how the fuck is a movie that good? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Mm-hmm. Like I love the absurdity that they use in their concepts and the ideas.
Mm-hmm. But
like,
again, that's just to to help express a point.
Yeah.
And fuck, they manipulated it really well, yo. Or like not manipulated, but like they used that they manipulated the absurdity to push the point through.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like beautiful.
And it always worked. And like even if some of the absurdities were like just for jokes, still kept like
use
this,
it right, yo.
Yeah. Still kept that like lighthearted tone while also still not shying away from the emotional themes of the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Good shit. Fuck. Anything else you want to say?
Watch Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse.
When's the next one coming out?
I feel like I heard next year, but I might be wrong.
Fuck. I like it's not that I want to know what happens next. I'm just so excited for something that well done. I just want to see what else they do really well. You know what I mean? Like it's just like they're 2 for 2 right now, and they pushed across points that like were meaningful, and they showed them in really good ways. The first one, I bawled in the theater. Like tears streamed down my face, yo. There's definitely no way I was hiding that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just like it's not even like the objective story that I'm excited for. It's just like, okay, what are they gonna show in the next thing that they're gonna show really well? And I'm just I'm craving that, yo.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just want it to come out already, yo. Fuck.
Yeah. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, it's gonna be good, yo.
It's in good hands, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Holy shit. But yeah, on that note then,
Yeah.
we're at This is the longest we've recorded straight, actually. Almost 2 hours, yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's it from us. The Team Rocket podcast on Earth 420.
are we 420? I thought we were 16. Oh, we are 420. Wait.
No, I just made that up. Yeah. I think. Is it 616? I don't know.
Maybe.
In my head, it's
Yeah.
the universe 420. Earth 420.
420, yeah. Dash 69.
Dash
Yeah.
69.
Yeah. And on that note, blasting off. now.
Blasting off.
Yeah. Whatever world you're on.
Yeah.
It's Team Rocket.
In this verse or the next.
Word.
Mm.
Peace.